So, I'm a men's rights activist, and I want to have an honest conversation with male feminists. And I'm especially thinking about the subreddit Men's Lib, but in general, I'd like to talk to men who identify as feminists and really ask them, what do you think feminism is really doing for men's issues and doing for you? When you really look at the track record of feminist organizations, do you really think they're helping issues such as male victims of domestic violence, or circumcision, or the homeless gap, or the education gap, or the life expectancy gap, or the incarceration gap? Do you really see feminists trying to push for laws and reform that address these gaps and disparities that affect men and boys? Because what I see is the opposite. I see feminist organizations support laws and support practices and support theory that further discrimination against men. And something feminists say, they help men by combating the patriarchy. But when you look at what feminists actually support in terms of legislation and theory, they actually want to codify and strengthen the patriarchy even more. A good example is the Duluth model in the United States, which is the system by which police's modus operandi for domestic violence should be to assume that the male is the aggressor by default, simply because he's male. Is that not a harmful gender stereotype? Aren't you perpetuating the stereotype and the patriarchal stereotype that men can't be victims and women have to be weak and defenseless? When you look at how feminists want to approach homelessness, where homeless males are deprioritized from shelter and housing, isn't that also reinforcing and codifying the belief systems behind the patriarchy where men are inherently privileged? If you say you want to break down the patriarchy, that means breaking down male privilege, but that also means breaking down the assumption that men don't need as much help when it comes to programs like homelessness, like domestic violence. Let's talk about the education gap. What do you see feminists say in regards to how boys are falling behind in school and have been for a long time? Boys get lower grades for the same work. Boys are less likely to finish high school and more likely to not go to college and end up being homeless and unemployed later on in life. It's all cyclical. Men are punished more severely for the same crime. And again, feminists might say, well, this is because of the patriarchy, but saying that is one thing, but then look at the prison reform feminists are actually proposing. Are they proposing to smash the patriarchy by treating male and female criminals equally? No. They're calling for female criminals to be treated more leniently by default, if not even closing women's prisons by default. What do you really see feminists talk about circumcision, if at all? Yes, I know most feminists will say out loud they're against circumcision, but how seriously do they really take it? And do you feel they take it seriously enough? Now, I'm not saying that feminists should be completely beholden to help men's issues, or even that feminists have a responsibility to help men's issues at all. That's why I'm saying the men's rights movement should exist. But feminists are so hostile towards MRAs, and they're so hostile to the men's rights movement even existing. Why is this? Why do feminists have such a hard time not completely dominating the spotlight? Why can't men be their own advocates and speak about their own issues on our own behalf? And I don't mean this as an argument, and I don't really mean this as a challenge. I mean, I sort of mean this as a challenge because I do want to get your opinions on this. And yes, I am kind of pointing some questions at you, but I really do want to learn and understand. I am someone who considers myself an MRA, a men's rights activist. I don't exactly call myself an anti feminist because, in principle, I agree with what feminism is supposed to stand for, but it seems like I'm at odds with feminists a lot more than I'm in agreement with feminists when I look at the things that feminist organizations and political groups actually say and do. And worst of all, it's not just what the so called extremist feminists say and do, it's how you don't see any of these moderate feminists step up to denounce them. So that's my honest question to you. If you're a male feminist, do you really feel that feminism has your back? And what do you think feminism is really doing for you? And just saying something like feminism makes me feel like I can express my emotions, I'm not going to buy that. Because as an MRA, I'm a man expressing my emotions, and the response I get from feminists is to try and shut me down and call me an incel. So don't say that feminists are trying to quote unquote liberate men to speak their emotions, when really what they mean is they want to liberate men to speak their emotions in a way that feminists themselves approve of. So, anyway, my name is Blue Orange 22. If you want to see what I'm about, you can browse through my channel. And if you want to see what I think about feminists and what I accuse feminists of, You can search in my channel, just put feminism or feminists, and I have dozens of videos with feminist and feminist in the title. Feel free to watch any of them and ask me questions about any of them in the comments, or you can email me, blueorange22 at MRA.com. Sorry, blueorange22MRA at gmail.com. So my name is Thomas. Thank you very much.